Hi, I'm Amanda, and this is Amanda Started a Podcast. This episode, Jeff joins me in his garden in Los Angeles because we did a little travel around the world moment. Jeff has a face for TV, a voice for radio and podcasts, and a brain for science. He's got it all. Some people call him the most magnificent human to ever walk the face of the earth, and those people are me. Because he is. Please enjoy this episode and enjoy all the other episodes that I have so far and enjoy the future ones that are to come. You've had a very successful career as a video editor.
Yeah.
Bit of a production. And now you're doing big pivot moves.
Massive
like complete pivot.
Yeah.
And I think that's inspiring to like everyone in the world.
And my reason for pivoting is because I'm uninspired and I need to make things
But I also thought it was
inspiring.
cute what you said the other day about how your boyfriend also helped inspire you to make this choice, this pivot.
Absolutely. Are we recording?
Yeah. So we're in your garden and we're loving it.
We're in my garden. It's a new feature in my life.
Yeah.
Having moved to the West Coast from the East.
You were not ready to leave. You wouldn't have on purpose moved to LA.
No, so I actually would have a couple years ago. So
Right.
prior to meeting my partner in life, I used to spend a bit of time out here a couple of winters ago. And I had some friends who moved out here and I wanted to move to LA just to kind of like change up the vibe because New York was like probably similar to you, a bit played out. And I like the weather in LA, obviously. And then I started dating Dave.
Yeah.
And he'd have to be out here for work. And the more time we spent out here, I was like, oh, maybe I do like New York more. But then he got a job offer out here and we were kind of forced to move. And it's, you know, we made the best of it. And I like don't miss New York. And one of the pluses as far as like LA is the weather and like the ability to grow. I mean, we just picked cauliflower.
Veggies. Yeah.
It's winter, it's February right now. But yeah, I mean, as a city, I feel like LA is lacking compared to New York.
Yeah.
But you know, you don't have this in New York.
Right. Well, I mean, do you think the reason why LA is lacking is because like the density of New York is what brings it to life, and like the density is also the reason you can't have the gardens and stuff, like the nice things?
Yes, it's like the pros and cons. I also think LA has like way different of a culture, and people are like way more spread out and forced to see each other maybe less naturally because you're driving around and you're in cars, whereas in New York you kind of just like walk outside.
Do you like driving? Because you are, I will say, a much better driver than I was expecting.
Yeah, because I kind of forgot how to drive living in New York.
Yeah.
That was actually my biggest fear moving out here. It's like, how do I...
Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah, how do I learn how to drive even though I'm like 31? I like driving. I like the accessibility of being able to like bop around. Whereas like in New York, if you want to get out of the city, oftentimes people don't have cars and you have to like rent a car, which takes like, you know, hours to get out of the city.
Yeah. But you also did do that.
Yeah.
Like you and Dave especially, and like you guys went to like Woodstock.
I got sick of it though. Like it was a little, it's uninspiring to like leave the city sometimes, unless you're like going to the airport and getting on a plane.
Right, beep, beep, beep.
But yeah, I think that, you know, since you've been in LA, we've gone to the Arts District about 3 times.
Up and coming.
Because it reminded me of like walking around New York with you, which I used to love.
No, it did really.
Because you were my like walking friend.
Right.
And yeah, I'm curious, your experience in LA. Yeah. You said that you like it more than
I do. I like it. I will admit it on film, on camera, on record.
That you're moving.
I understand why people like LA. Like, wouldn't it? It just like your house is amazing. This life is amazing. The sun is amazing. Like, I could understand why like having kids here makes sense as compared to like New York.
100%.
Life is easier than but also people say that about New York. People are like, oh, it's like, it is like a hard place to live. Like, what was that documentary that was like little clips of shit? Like it was like COVID strong during 2020. That was like, oh, like, you know, New York is a hard place to live. Like,
which by the way, what is your thought? I mean, you don't live in New York, but you live in another city, but maybe it's like
it is a hard place to live, New York.
Yeah. I never thought that when I lived there. What's funny, and I used to think like, oh, I don't understand that mentality, especially when I lived in Greenpoint. I never thought it was, I always lucked out with where I was living.
Like, no, I think, but listen, you're also a positive person.
No, but what I was gonna say is that I now think that.
Oh, okay.
Now that I live here, it's very different. And I think back to sometimes to like my life. I mean, I used to live in a very crowded neighborhood and walking down the street was like difficult because it'd be just packed with people.
For me, I was like body slamming people in Chinatown.
100%.
Out of my way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that now it's like when I come down to my garden, I think back to like a cold, freezing, like dark 5 p.m. in New York in December, and it like, you know, it like darks me out.
Right.
Literally.
So did you not ever feel that way? I mean, obviously you were younger, like life doesn't seem as hard and stuff. You're like, I'm learning and I don't have money and like I've never had money, so it's like fine. But like living in Paris, for instance, did you feel like living in Paris was hard?
No.
Yeah.
No, and this is actually an interesting question because, so I lived in Paris. I lived there 3 times, I would say. First time being like an exchange during college. Second time I was like returning as like an English assistant language teacher in like a French high school in Paris. Right. And the third time was like a couple months stint to try to like make it longer term. And I realized like, I don't like being poor here. I need to like make money and return to the US.
Right. But before you keep talking on that, the reason why, for our listeners at home, the reason why you did feel, and I personally feel this way also living in Berlin, like the money to be made and the opportunity in New York is so much different.
Well, especially as an American.
Yeah.
Like, it felt weird. And just going back to the earlier question, however.
Yeah. No, I want to hear.
I never got like tired of the gray winter in Paris because I think Paris is like beautiful. Mm-hmm. It was sometimes like difficult to hang out outside and like do what I wanted to do, and it was like miserable, but it was always like pretty and interesting. Whereas yes, in New York it's miserable to me. Like it'd be hard to go back, even though like maybe at some point I'll live in New York again.
Right.
But in terms of money,
yeah,
it's obviously so much easier to make money when you are an American in your own country. And I think generally.
Wait, why are you saying that? Because you know people that aren't Americans that have tried to make money? And
I don't know the case in Germany, but my understanding is like it's not that different than France. The salaries in Europe, while you still, I mean, you get like 5 weeks of 6 weeks, I don't know, like 30 days of vacation. Like I would never want to work at a French company. Like, you know, it's very hierarchical and it just seems like less, I don't know, people, there's way less, I think, freedom to kind of be like entrepreneurial. Whereas I think in the US you can make things happen like more easily and like people just like make way more money.
I do think like
at the expense of some other things.
Right. Like not having vacation and like needing to always be working and always like on.
From my perspective, I love life when I was living in Paris, like the lifestyle, but I didn't like the work component and I didn't like the lack of seeming, I mean, part of it also is like potentially just because I don't have, you know, European citizenship, but what's the case in Germany in terms of finding clients or, you know, like have you embarked on that?
Well, no, because I've been so fucking busy. Like I've been working over 40 hours a week still with my.
Do you know in terms of like what that would entail if you were working for like a German company? Like, is it just?
It's very 9 to 5.
Yeah.
It's very like you're done working and no one's like hitting you up at night.
Right.
You're not like working on the weekends ever. Like, I don't know if I told you this, but like my first month living in Berlin, I think it was like a Sunday and I went to like a brunch and then I like went somewhere else and like one of my clients called me and I picked up and when I like talked to them for like whatever 20 minutes and then I came back to like the group, we were sitting along the canal and everyone was like, you picked up a work call? Like people were like shocked.
Yeah.
But I was like, I just made $100. Why wouldn't I pick up a work call?
100%.
So like I think like that maybe that's my American New Yorkie mindset of like, what?
Well, I mean, and it's also, I don't think that sounds crazy. Like you're like hanging out. If you're on a first date, that would be kind of weird.
Right.
Like, I mean,
I wouldn't be on my phone, right?
Right. 100%. I mean, if
I was just thinking like, I'm never going on a date again, so it doesn't really matter.
I mean, obviously I have some like issues with, for example, it's like my boyfriend works a lot. And sometimes that is like, I understand, sometimes I'll have to just be on his phone, but you know, pros and cons.
I hate being on the phone. Like, okay, so when I was in London visiting Paige, and I wanted to see Iris and her celebrate their wedding or whatever, and then we went to go see The Brutalist, which is obviously a very long film, but like
3.5 hours, right?
Yeah, and I wasn't on my phone until the intermission.
Yeah.
And I had like 45 messages, and there was like all this shit blowing up at work. And like, granted, I was at the movies on a Friday in the middle of the day. Technically for New York hours, but still, like I was on my phone for an hour and a half and like all this shit blew up and then I missed like 20 minutes of the second half of the film because I was like busy in the lobby like doing stuff. And maybe this is just my subset of friends that I know in Berlin and stuff, but like you can like not be on your phone for an hour, it's gonna be fine.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it's different if like your boss calls you and
right. I guess now having 31 years under your belt, if you were going back to where you were when you moved to Paris the first time or whatever, like what differences would you have, I guess, different choices you've made, or like would you change anything?
I would have gotten a large facial tattoo. So it would prevent me from, if I ever felt weak enough to give up, it would prevent that.
I would have stopped you from getting jumped that time.
Yeah. No, I think that Like I never wanted to cap out. When I lived there, I think I was like 24.
Right.
And it felt like I had way more to do. Also, by the way, I had way more ambition when I was younger. I was like, I need to do something with my life. Or I wanted to...
I feel like we both felt that way.
Yeah, but I guess fast forward to now, I'm like content having a garden and it's like chill. And it's like, I'm great. I don't have to like do this or that.
That's so not true though, because you are literally going to back to school to become a therapist.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think that...
And if you weren't ambitious, you wouldn't do that.
No, that's definitely following my interest and not, I think to revise what I was saying, like I thought that I wanted to like write movies and like direct movies and like have this kind of
I still think, by the way, I forgot who you sent your first bit of that movie, or you told us about the movie. I forgot who the fuck you were talking to. It's like me and Paige, me and someone else maybe. Whoever it was that you told, they recently asked me about that film, and I was like, holy fucking shit, that actually, I still think about that film.
It's
that idea is phenomenal.
I know, but then it's like, AI can do the same.
Shut the fuck up. But I still think that you should sell this film.
Oh, it would be amazing. I'd just have to write it first. But
okay, and what are you doing out in this garden? It's like, get to work.
Yeah, no, but I think that I just had these kind of crazy, like I wanted like this Hollywood lifestyle, and now I couldn't care less about that, at all.
But in what way did you want a Hollywood lifestyle?
I think because I grew up in the suburbs, and when I was younger, like looked at people who I thought, out were looking in, just had kind of cool lives, and it's like, what does this look like for me? And like entertainment seemed like interesting and cool.
Because that like interests you, but I guess.
But I think it's more of like a basic, almost like vapid for me. Like it was kind of like, oh, this looks cool because it's like stereotypically cool. But then I think the therapy of it all.
Yeah.
I would like to become a therapist because I intend to, for a bunch of reasons. It's like a more considered career pivot and just what I think would bring me ultimately like happiness because it's authentic versus like how do I want to be to the world versus like how do I want to be to myself. And I think it took me like my 20s to kind of figure that out.
It wasn't inauthentic to you before to want to work in entertainment in any way because
live and learn.
We all grow and learn, and I mean like you tried to live in Paris, you were like, fuck, I want to move back to New York, I want to make more money.
Right.
I think like most people, and maybe I'm just speaking for us and like the people we surround ourselves with, most people live in New York because they're like, fuck, I want to make money, I want to hustle. Like I moved to New York, obviously I'm from the suburbs, but I moved there because I was like, I'm here, this life for me isn't for fun, this isn't for friends, this is because I thought I didn't have any friends and like wouldn't have them, but I was like, I'm here to make money, girls. I want to be rich then.
Right. My career pivot is inspired because it's like becoming harder to hustle so I used to be a freelance editor, and I guess I still kind of am at this moment in time.
You literally are.
In terms of like that space, like I used to work on way more kind of, I guess, like fancy shoots that involved like big budgets and kind of like polished,
like fashion week stuff. You met so many celebrities.
And we're just working on like big projects. A lot of it was like live events. Obviously with the state of like TikTok and like UGC, a lot of brands have kind of pivoted away from just like spending any money on video production because they don't need to. And that really kind of transformed like the editing space I was in, and budgets are just like day rates or even just not what they were because people will hire interns to kind of be like, yo, edit this, for like $100. It's not like sustainable. And I'm almost like, I feel like I'm looking at the headwinds of at least how I specifically made money. I did a lot of like paid ad work. We used to work together at Flamingo, creating ads for companies that, now it doesn't involve much.
Right, because advertising is changing.
Right.
Like people, I mean, even DTC and like all the shit that like really boomed up in like the 2012, 2015 era.
100%.
Of like when DTC brands were big and like venture
like
capital
those days are over.
Funding was huge. Like that, it's just so different now.
Right.
And it's going to continue to change because that's how, apparently the world works.
100%. And I feel like my career, money took precedent, and it was all about like how to make money. And then I realized like, I'm actually like not making the money that I want to make. Like, what do I actually want to do?
Yeah. But that's why I think it's so inspiring that you're doing, like, one, you have this thought, you could just suppress that forever.
Right.
And be like, nah, and then actually kind of like become kind of a miserable person doing something you hate for the rest of your life, like similar to like my dad or something.
Shout out.
For instance.
Yeah.
No, but like for me, and I think like I'm having a happy enough time doing the work that I'm doing.
Right.
But I too am like wanting to do this podcast, wanting to do like more creative things, like trying to like
garden.
Well, I like if by gardening you mean tasting the pepper you just picked, then yeah. Oh, you know what?
Tell me.
The the online quiz you made me do that you
for a
did years
career,
ago,
like, aptitude test?
and that Dave did too, and it was
Yes.
record man, like whatever, the
Yeah.
music industry guy. So we took a test.
It was a career aptitude test called like Sunico or something.
And it was like a long one.
Yeah, it took about like 15 minutes.
And like
a long one.
Listen,
It was
fuck off.
comprehensive. No, it really was.
A 15-minute test is a while. You did it. Dave did it. I did it. Wait, did you get a therapist? What did you get for
Mine
yours?
just said like error. Depending on when I took it, the results were different.
Okay. But that makes sense because things change. But I think that's the whole point.
Exactly.
Things
Evolution.
that matter to you
there we
change.
go. 100%.
So what I got was a tie between motivational speaker and TV show host.
Oh my God.
And
we are.
those are my dreams.
Here we are. And it's
merged together.
Two birds with one stone
Exactly.
Right now. You just want to be a motivational speaker. Like, who do you bill?
I mean, anyone that comes to your talk.
Someone, yeah, I guess.
You know, like life coaches?
Yes.
It's like, who told them they could do whatever? I think like I could be a life coach. Anyone can be a life coach.
100%.
It's confidence, baby.
It's unlicensed. I'm a life coach. I'm your life coach.
Yeah, you actually are.
I wish we had the name of the career aptitude test. It was actually very
find
insightful. That I see for you. I absolutely see for you. That's what drew me to originally being your friend. You just embody this sort of like spirit that I found inspirational. You just seem really cool.
Oh, that's sweet.
So I do think that you're really built for that, inspiring others.
You know what I was thinking about? Maybe I'll have Dave on the podcast one day too.
He would never do it.
I know, but like maybe one day he would.
If we leverage some sort of like blackmail component. Yeah.
But I was thinking about how when he gets like really hyped about something and he has like his switch to like motivational, inspirational talk.
Oh, yeah, 100%. He loves a toast. Yeah, he's good at that.
Now that I know him and I can like hear the switch and I'm like, I love it. I love what's about to happen next.
He's able to kind of render people to tears. This is my partner. His best friend from high school had him as his best man at his wedding. This predates me. This actually was when he and his ex broke up. And Dave didn't want to go. He was like disassociating the entire time because he was so heartbroken.
Oh, right,
they broke up,
and then being at a wedding, like a love event.
And it had like the ex's name card or whatever next to him at the dinner. But Dave gave an incredible speech, and people like come up to him to this day, even though he was like so heartbroken, was able to really just turn it on and
Oh, that's like actually gonna make me cry just now, and I don't even know what happened back there. The thing that's so crazy is that there's themes in almost everyone's lives. It's like there's obviously trauma in some way. There's obviously overcoming some trauma. There's like listening to your heart, or if you don't listen to your heart, you like become like a miserable bitch. I think there's like kind of general themes that people go through. Yeah. And that's why I think it's so fun to talk to, like,
to be alive.
No, genuinely. And then I forget sometimes, and I get sad for a little bit. Dare I say, slip into depression.
Oh, whoa. Daily. Just for like a minute.
Not to name names, but we were just discussing someone earlier today on Instagram. That person, their presence, it has not changed since 2015.
Yeah. Well, as far as we know.
Well, the presence on the internet. We're just totally talking about that.
Yeah, like the outward presence.
The outward presence, right? It looks like they're still acting like they're 20-fucking-2 or whatever, like living their life in this way. Maybe the reason we were being negative and bitchy and kind of shit-talky about it is because life changes.
Life changes.
We've changed.
Yeah.
You want to see an arc for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Maybe that is her arc. But my take, I don't want to just judge her Instagram. I think that
I know.
there's the backstory of like a couple of in-person interactions that I found unsavory.
You're defending your like
but yeah, I think as far as rather her like Instagram, the unchanged component of her Instagram, you know, that's her story, that's her brand, and that's what she's
rocking with.
You know.
But honestly, like, hope she's happy.
By the way, she is.
You think?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what do you think? Do you think you need to be able to be super, super fucking happy, authentically happy, genuinely happy?
Right.
Do you have to have been through something really sad and negative?
You could totally be like stupid and happy, 100%.
Well, ignorance is bliss, right? We were saying that.
Yes. My hunch is that there are certainly people who are just like happy and like it is what it is. They might have lucked out.
Well, you actually met one of my old coworkers once.
Yeah.
She genuinely just wants to buy like Balenciaga bags. And that's it. Yeah. Genuinely, if you were to ask like what would be the happiest thing in the entire world that could happen to you right now, it's like my boyfriend bought me a Balenciaga bag. And like that is kind of where we're at. And I'm just like, is that real? Or are you like a product of your environment? Or do you genuinely think that?
Maybe conversationally that's the best thing that could ever happen to her, but maybe she has way more depth that she's like too scared to reveal. Right. She's like, I don't want to be judged.
Right. It's kind of back to what we were saying earlier about vulnerability
Right.
and how like some people aren't really tapping into that.
Yeah, because I think what makes people like you is when you talk about things that like make you human. Because like we
Right.
all like suffer, hopefully, or
But
just
that's
kidding.
kind of-
we all suffer, but maybe that contradicts my earlier point. I think that it's hard to be alive. I guess everyone, has just like insecurities or like struggles, and I think when people open up and talk about those,
Right.
unless you're again on like a first date, because
The way that you like remember that I'm single and you're like, but also for you,
Yeah, no, it's
let's
like,
let's reel
Amanda,
it in, girl.
the less you say, the better it'll be. Yeah, it makes people like you when you're like vulnerable.
Yeah,
right.
right?
I mean, look at you right now.
I know I'm thinking about Lady Gaga because of my shirt and also because of Abracadabra. But like for instance, for her, like people loved when she was going around during the Star is Born tour, being like, "Hey, you could have 100 people in a room, and you could have one person that believes in you." Blah blah blah, and everyone loved it until they realized she said it a million times. Then all of a sudden, it's like, "Oh wait, is that you being?
Line.
Yeah, is it no longer vulnerable?"
It's
and like,
ChatGPT.
I don't know. I still think
I
it's
think
like,
it could still be. I'm not familiar with that, but yeah, if
you're not familiar with that.
No, I do like Lady Gaga, but I'm really like, again, it's like I'm in my garden. I listen to like language podcasts and like I don't really, I think that even if she's repeating that line or like that sentiment, it doesn't detract from like.
But that's how I feel about, do you know Mel Robbins?
Yes.
You know how like her whole fucking thing on TikTok, it's always like, let go, let them, let them, let them. It's like, she says the same fucking thing over and over and over, but it's still true.
100%. Yeah.
It's like,
agreed.
Yeah.
That's why she's so successful.
I wonder how much her net worth is.
It's societal indoctrination. The more she can like say it, it gets into her heads.
What should I say? It's kind of like,
Help.
it's similar to like a cult.
No, Mel Robbins isn't a cult. I don't actually know enough about her to.
No, I don't know. I don't either.
She's a positive figure, right?
No, I think she's like a good person.
I think, and she wrote a book.
Yeah, she's giving the vibe. Do you know what?
I trust her because of her glasses.
I think so too.
Right?
Like the thick frame, it is 100%. Working. Branding is real.
Yeah.
Those thick frames. But do you know what she said actually? I don't know what her backstory is, if she was like a drunk or like depressed. I don't know. But she said that like
just
the
like
story.
A random lady.
Yeah, she's just like a lovely woman.
Yeah.
No, she's like, she was saying she was laying in bed and she was like, I just couldn't get up. I couldn't fathom the idea of doing a single thing. And then one day she just counted to 3 and was like, on 3 I'm getting up. And just like the fact that she got out of bed was like enough for her to do the next thing. Yeah. And it kind of got her out of the spiral of like depression. And it kind of reminds me, it's obviously different, but it kind of reminds me of like when I was going to college. And I also, because you didn't know me then.
Yeah,
but,
I
like,
didn't know you.
When I was in high school.
I thought of that today. It's like I haven't known you forever.
It's actually kind of a stranger.
It is bizarre. Like,
but we've known each other for 10 years.
No, we haven't.
Oh, okay. Wait.
No.
No. I thought we were 35.
I thought I just saw a duck. What bird is that? That's like, I think it's escaped from the zoo. But they have.
No, what I was gonna say is, I for some reason thought we were 35 for a second. So my bad. We were 25 when we met. 24.
24. Yeah, I met you when I was 24.
So
I'm 31. I mean, we're almost there. We're almost at that decade, which is that makes me happy.
We should go on a vacation.
100% to celebrate our anniversary. I don't know if you like ever placed this, but we are the same like graduating year. When you were in elementary school, did you ever think like, oh, it's 2007, I'm in 7th grade?
Yeah. And that's how I think.
100%.
But that's why I'm saying, so in high school, I used to be a really angry person growing up. Obviously, you know my dad, and you know how angry he was. I think maybe even internally.
Trickle down economics.
Or maybe it's just that like seeing someone be so angry all the time and you like learn from that. I don't know. Yeah. But I remember like it was a thing. Like I was an angry person and like people would like be like, oh shit, you made a man angry, like vibes. But like going into college, I was like, I literally one day just thought to myself, if you're this angry all the time, you're not going to make friends.
100%.
And then I literally was like, I'm not going to be angry anymore.
Right.
And now I'm like, you've seen me angry.
Yeah.
But I think I'm almost
You're
never
rarely angry.
Right?
Rarely, yes.
Almost
100%.
never. So it reminded me of Mel Robbins being like, 1, 2, 3, I'm gonna get up. And I was kind of just like, I just feel like you can make decisions in life.
Yeah.
This sounds crazy.
Say it. It's like everyone who can't be happy is weak. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It was like, what is that Mo Gott guy that was like he has that book called Sell for Happy.
I'm not familiar.
I listened to him on a really nice podcast, and I think he's great. And he has his own podcast even. He says the second you say that happiness is a choice, you lose like 80% of the people that are following your whatever you're saying, because people do not want to believe that happiness is a choice.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of things are choices.
Do you think happiness is a choice? Do you think it is?
I think it is.
I guess it's not a yes or no question.
It's not.
There's nuance.
But I mean, obviously there's clinical depression.
Right.
Obviously there's things that
genocide.
Well, 100%, but like you choose happiness or choose, like you wake up in a bad mood.
Yeah, I think that there's probably room for like a conscious choice to try to like better your mindset maybe.
Yeah.
And some people, maybe there's a difference between like pain and suffering, like instead of just something being painful, like
Yeah.
there's,
Well, it's like what I said to you the other day.
yeah.
There's just, I think, a lot more than people like to admit boil down to choice. Me choosing to no longer be angry was literally a choice I made.
Yeah.
Fucking Mel Robbins getting out of bed that day was a choice she made. If you're in a bad relationship or one that doesn't serve your highest good, maybe it's an okay relationship, you're comfortable with this person, you've been together for years.
It's like break up.
No, but it's like you just stay together. Like there's people I know that have been dating since, high school, and I'm like, they're not happy, but they could be really happy if they
But
were
question,
putting
food for
themselves
thought.
on
Food for thought. How much of that is like you projecting what you might
totally.
feel in that relationship?
Obviously, there's me projecting. Obviously, there's going to be my rose-colored glasses on top of all of my, the way I'm looking at things, right?
Because I do think it's also, and I know you agree with this, like, it's also fair to like if that's what makes you comfortable.
Comfort isn't bad.
Yeah.
But I think for me, the best things that have ever happened to me
have been
out of uncomfortable situations.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, everything that I've wanted to do that I've like been proud of in my life it started with like an uncomfortable component,
me too.
For sure.
Like even like when I was moving to New York officially after college, like moving from Philadelphia, and I had like 4 or 5 job offers. Shut the fuck up.
Oh my God. I like introduced you as like, this is my friend from Philly.
The joke is that I actually hate Philadelphia and I've hated living there. So like that's why it's so funny, huh? But the vibe with that was that I got like 4 job offers in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And I kept saying no, and I kept being like, no fucking way, I'm moving to New York. And so many people were like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's going to be way harder to get a job in New York. You have no network there. You have no like nepotism. I wish I had nepotism to this day, but I don't.
I'm like content I don't.
Now?
Yeah. Because like, I don't know.
I think I would have been like a worse person.
100%. Yeah. Like if you are born into that situation, like I do think you, I don't know.
But
like,
what I'm trying to say is like that was really the way more uncomfortable route to go, and it was way harder and it took more time, I'm sure. But I think it set me up for way more success. If I stayed in Philadelphia just because it was comfortable and easy,
you would have been a loser. No, but it would have been like a little, I 100% concur. Yeah. Like I think it just would have been safe, but maybe retrospectively compared to what you've done thus far, a little boring.
But this is what I'm saying to you, what I said to you the other day. The longer you get on the wrong train, the longer you stay on the wrong train, the more expensive it's going to be to get back to your original destination once you eventually get off. So that's like relationships, 100%. Bad situations, uncomfortable things. Like
meals at a restaurant.
Drinking the mimosa I didn't like.
The more you drink it, the more you'll have to probably end up paying for it.
Yeah.
You can't send it back right away.
True.
Yeah, but what about regarding like that career or whatever, it's a test.
Yeah.
It's like an aptitude test. One of the questions is like, are you the type of person to kind of like look back at decisions you made and think about what would it have been like had like the other decision been chosen? Are you that person that thinks back about like...
No, because you want to know why?
Yeah.
I've never regretted anything I didn't do, because I don't think you can regret things you didn't do because you wouldn't know what would have happened.
I like that.
Do I
regret? Makes me feel safe. Nothing's wrong.
I regret me living in Philadelphia. I think that what I should have done is realized I was uncomfortable in not a good way.
Okay.
I should have made a better decision for myself and gone maybe thought about transferring or something. But I can't necessarily somewhere in New York. Like, you know what I mean?
Let's play that out.
You want to?
Just for a second. We don't have to keep this. I'm just curious. Did it ever cross your mind?
No.
Okay.
Because with the way that I am as a person is that I'm like, I will fully commit, double down.
Yeah.
I've done this. I'm doing this. I said that, but this is what I'm talking about in therapy.
But does anyone in a relationship think that? Like,
but I think that they do.
I'm doubling down. We're not getting divorced. Right.
But you always have a choice.
Yeah.
And maybe that's like another reason that I wish I could go back and tell my younger self.
You always have a choice to do anything.
You do. You have a choice to do anything.
Even if it feels like you're blowing up your life.
Yeah.
No, sometimes it's like, it's challenging. And that's probably like the shittiest feeling when you feel like you don't have a choice.
But I know that we've talked about this in the past, but both of us, I think, really wanted independence.
Yeah.
From like a younger age. I think money and hustling to get to the money or whatever obviously gives you a sense of independence. Because if you have money,
yeah, you can do whatever you want.
It's fun, coupons. It's, you know, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. And I still kind of believe that.
I mean, I do believe that.
Like I don't think obviously money is everything, and money buys happiness at all. I do think it makes it a lot easier to like figure out what makes you happy when you're not like worried about
like where you're gonna pay rent
how
from or
will my
whatever.
child live tonight with
Right.
not having eaten. And like you can do more shit.
I've asked everyone that's been on the podcast.
Let's hear it.
But I'm curious, like, if you could go back to any stage where maybe you needed it the most,
Yeah.
what age would you go back to say something to yourself as like a piece of advice? Like,
I guess. I mean, like, maybe it's less of an answer. It's maybe so like anecdotal. So when I was like 20, my mom died. And I think I would go back to that person and be like, one day you'll be happy and it will be okay. Would have saved me some time with like deep depression.
yeah.
And like thinking that the world is like this kind of chaotic, which it like 100% is, but I became sort of like nihilistic. Is that like the, like I became like a nihilist because I was like, nothing matters. You know, none of us are getting out of this alive. It like darked me out. It made me like anxious. But then like I've since come around. No, but I like life can be fun and it's like all is well. But yeah, sometimes I think going back to that particular time in my life, I would want to try to expedite the healing process or like I don't know, because it really prevented me from like participating in college because I was like pretty darked out. I guess I don't fully regret that, but in my life I'm like that was my most like destabilized time.
Yeah, which is completely valid.
Yeah. What about you? What's the answer to you?
My answer would be like,
I mean, I have obviously listened to every episode.
Mine is like going to like when I was 12, when I was 18, when I was 21, these 3 ages, I felt so like I was forcing myself so like, you're having fun, you have you have friends.
You're so happy.
You're having a great time. I wish I could just go back and be like, bitch, you have no idea how good it's gonna get.
Yeah, you're miserable right now.
Like, and it's okay to acknowledge that. I don't know. I just didn't think it was okay.
What's been your most fun year if you can't choose this one?
No.
Like you can't choose like right now.
But right now is...
Okay, but let's
every year keeps getting better and better.
All right, so last year, I guess. I mean,
last year was also really hard and really intense.
I don't know if every year's gotten better and better for me. I guess the pandemic sucked.
That was a rough one, but we also did have fun.
Yeah, on some level. Oh my God, that was so boring. I hated that. I'm scared of bird flu.
That's why we don't have chickens here.
I know. I was actually
in this garden.
I was gonna get a couple of chickens.
But the eggs would be so fun, and Dave loves eggs.
I'm scared of my backyard flock contracting bird flu, and then
do you think? And then you get it?
Yeah.
And then what happens when you get bird flu? Do you die?
You might die. I think that like 50% of people die.
What?
Yeah.
What's the COVID one?
Under 1%. But I think because it hasn't become transmissible human to human yet, as far as we know, there's no real like...
But then how do you get bird flu? You kiss a chicken?
Well, right now you get it through like an animal, so like a bird. But also cows have it, pigs have it, cats have it.
Ew.
A lot of animals have it. That's why people are freaking out.
I didn't know people were freaking out. This is news to me.
Oh yeah, I mean
I'm only telling you about the people I know.
Egg prices are, it's like $11 to buy like a dozen eggs. At, like,
because people don't want to go near a chicken?
No, because they have to kill all the birds that there's like an outbreak. I'm trying to be informed politically, but I'm also trying to like not
I think you and I both get
go crazy.
But you know what I think is nice about our friendship? This is probably the least nice thing of all the nice things. But like, I think whenever I'm feeling like
because you have CNN notifications sent to you.
There's 5 dead in Dubai. No, it's like the times that I've been like, I actually can't handle this. You'll like trickle in some information to me. I'm like, oh, thank God, I know something.
I get
and then the times that you're like, no, I can't. I'm like, oh, well, let me give you just like a quick update on
like bird flu, right? And it's like maybe not political, but it's. I guess it's about to become political. How's the indigestion? I know
the burping.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. I just like I really haven't felt a lot bloated since I came here, but I was trying to not like. This is in my head because people are like, oh, in Europe, don't you just feel like you can eat whatever and you're never bloated? And I'm always like, what is this? What agenda? What marketing campaign is this from?
This is my take. Our microbiomes are sensitive, and like regardless of whether you go to Europe or whether you go to like Asia or whether you go to the US or like flip all around and do everything, like maybe just eating different food from elsewhere, because you don't have to eat like shit in the US. I think like a lot of people do. But you definitely don't have to.
No, I know. But I'm more so saying like, I was so bloated yesterday from that burrito bowl. It took me down.
But it was worth it.
I still haven't pooped though. I feel like it's all inside me.
Well, maybe if we remain on camera long enough, something will happen. I have the utmost sympathy because I know it hurts. I know you're in pain.
Traveling and pooping isn't good for me. Like,
I know you're wearing sunglasses because you're hiding your like
my dark eyed. Yeah, well, I actually didn't start tearing up when you talked about your mom because I can't even imagine.
Aww.
love you so much.
I love you so much.
But I say this every day almost.
Yeah.
But like, I just can't believe how lucky I am to have you in my life.
Likewise.
Like, not only as a friend, but like,
yeah.
as a mentor, as a cult leader.
Yeah, I'm very relieved that you're my friend after seeing you in 2018 for the first time.
True.
And being like, oh my God, she seems so fucking cool. And I was like, I wish I could be friends with her.
But she
Not
looks
knowing
bloated.
I could. She looks like she'll be bloated when she goes to LA to visit you in however many years.
Right.
Almost 10 basically.
I love you so much. Like, I just want you to always just feel loved and
I
just
do.
like have the best day ever. So
100%.
I keep like thinking about your mom.
Likewise, Amanda.
Thinking about your mom dipping out like that.
Well, listen,
I can't even imagine.
I would not be the
sad.
person
I
today.
know.
Even to my point, what would you change or what would you say to the person that you want to revisit or whatever? But like maybe I'd be a fucking moron if I told myself that and I was like, everything's fine. It's like, I guess I don't regret anything. Yeah, I think anyone who's like experienced and like not my, people have like way worse situations. Like people are literally like enslaved.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that sometimes you can like channel pain into like something that is useful. And I think that a lot of people who are interesting, it's like my partner, for example, has kind of had like a shitty childhood, but he's like the most interesting person I know. He hasn't had like a boring life at all. A lot of it's been incredibly hard. Like he's a very resilient person.
Which I think is one of the most beautiful attributes someone could have. I think resilience is like just like
100%.
So gorgeous. That and ambition, I just feel like you really can't like teach that because it has to come within. What do you think is, because I think gratitude and like a daily practice of like genuinely listing even the dumbest shit that you could be grateful for when you're in like the worst moods, that has been one of the most helpful practices maybe, or like mental health exercises that I've ever done for myself. And I'm curious if you
100%. Yeah, like sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I'm really lucky. Like even just like on the scale of just the world, like I have modern medicine, access to modern medicine. I have like food. I can go to a supermarket and like genuinely like get anything I need.
Right.
And like a lot of people, even like in the US, just can't like do that. They can't like go to a supermarket and be like, I want to have chicken cutlets tonight. Like, and so when I think about like those basic things like that, it's like, things are great.
Yeah, I mean, they literally are great.
Yeah. But
and not in a toxic. I don't know, because on Ned's episode when he was on, I know you haven't listened to that one, but like we were discussing like what is gratitude and what is toxic positivity, and it's like, well, should I just never be in a bad mood?
Positivity.
If you try to talk about something that's bothering you, and it's like manifest.
Right. Like steamrolling.
Yeah, or just not. There's like toxic positivity would just be like the sun is shining, and it's like, okay, but. Like you going back to when your mom, passed away, and it's like someone just being like, yeah, but the sun is shining and you're alive. Come on.
What
and it's like, but what do we talk about this? No, but and this is what Ned and I were talking about. There's like the scale of happiness is a choice, toxic positivity.
Well, there's nuance in everything.
What are you supposed to do? Like if I'm talking about gratitude, like
I think
there's always something to be grateful for, and for me that's helpful. But if that's not helpful for you, which I think most people it should be helpful for, because it's like the law of attraction, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But like if that's not helpful for you, then don't fucking figure out something that's helpful for you.
Yeah, there's no one size fits all. Like I think that it's really difficult in terms of how you like self-regulate and like, get off.
Do you ever go to camp?
No. I probably like wouldn't have like flourished in camp.
Right,
I'd be like,
you would
take
have been
me to
like,
my fucking house.
And you would have been like, Mom, pick me up.
Yeah. Like I don't know. I wouldn't want to like sleep with like children. So I wouldn't want to. No, I wouldn't want to like have like. I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to sleep with any kids. I wouldn't want to have been in like a cabin set up with like several other children.
Right.
At like 10 years old.
Isn't that kind of like what was like having a twin? Though?
No,
like,
I had like my own room.
Were you like very like fuck you, Jonathan? I'm different.
No, I would be like fuck you, Jonathan. You're different. Yeah, I don't know. We had our own room. I wasn't super like.
Into interior design.
Yeah, I was like kind of taking what I could get. It's like shelter.
What were you into like
when I was young?
Because obviously Jeff is so fucking good at languages, and he's like
no, I wasn't into any of that when I was younger. I feel like I had a renaissance when I honestly like got to college, and I was like, I'm conscious. I don't remember like pre-18.
Yeah.
No, I was into like just hanging out with my friends and like stupid shit.
Yeah.
Like I got caught up in like.
Oh my God, right. I forgot about your pastimes.
Nonsense. I had like a job when I was younger.
What was your job?
I was a dishwasher.
Where?
At a catering company.
Oh.
A couple, one of which that job lasted like a week or two. But
You had a job when you were younger. It was 2 weeks long.
Yeah, because it's a really long story. I don't know how to say it without having a physiological response.
Wait,
My
what is
heart
this?
starts racing.
Have I heard this?
Yeah, when I threw the chicken marsala in the air.
No.
I was catering, so I had a job as
Right.
a dishwasher when I was 14 years old at Red Wagon Gourmet, and it was great.
Yeah.
Everything was great until Christmas Eve, whenever that year was. They were cooking stuff and had catering trays out, and the pipes burst.
Yeah.
And they never recovered. The kitchen was flooded, and
Right.
they were fucked.
Right.
So they went out of business weeks after, and then I needed a job.
Right.
I remember being in high school and telling my mom we don't have any shampoo left, and she's like, go to CVS. And I was like, I have to get a job. And so I got a job at a catering company, another one, and they had me go to an Elks Club. Do you know what an Elks Club is?
No.
It's where you have I don't know, it's a literal club, I think, in random towns where they have an
the
event
VA?
space. I don't know, it's a country club that's not a country club and
Okay.
it exists elsewhere.
Like Soho House.
Kind of. It was the suburban equivalent to Soho House, the
Yeah.
Elks Club. In any case, it was a 76-year-old woman's birthday party. I had 2 shifts at the restaurant that this catering company had. And then they're like, okay, well, we have an event coming up on Saturday. We'd like you to work it. And I was like,
As
sick.
a dishwasher or no?
No. I was brought in the truck that had all of the food to cater the 76-year-old woman's birthday party, and some random man who I had never met, who I assumed was part of the operation and was going to stay by my side the entire day. Because mind you, I'm just starting out, I'm getting trained. But he helped me take all the trays of food in and was like, good luck. See you in 10 hours, basically. And
You were alone?
I was alone. I was 17, and I was responsible for removing all the trays from the when they were empty,
Yeah.
on the floor in the kitchen, just swapping them out from the oven, and then cleaning up at the end of the party.
Yeah.
And so I had to retrieve a chicken marsala plate. You know what I'm talking about, the tin trays that
Yeah,
are
no, yeah.
heated.
I feel as New Jersey, New York suburban kids, it's
a
we
classic.
all know.
Yeah, and we all know. But I was removing a plate of chicken marsala from the oven.
Yeah.
And a dumbass, I was holding it from the sides. And I was walking out of the kitchen door that swung open into the party space.
Yeah.
Midway through the door, the tray collapses on me. It just folds in.
Because it's
obviously,
really thin,
exactly.
the tinfoil material.
And so to make matters worse, so I'm it's collapsing, and I look up at everyone, and people are looking at me, they're still dancing on the floor. And then as I look up, I might have sort of, ruin my equilibrium. So I slip on the sauce on the ground and throw the tray in the air. And I slam down and hit my head. And then the scalding hot liquids start whipping at me. And I'm probably, I'm burnt. And I'm on the ground, I hit my head, and I'm coming to, and I'm in my head before I opened my eyes. And also the music stopped. It was quiet. It was
You're
what the fuck's going on? But I remember thinking do I run?
Do I pretend I'm dead?
Yeah, and some random man was also the dishwasher. I should have had his job. He was unrelated to the party. He was part of the Elks Club. But he I look up and everyone's looking at me at the party. I ruined the birthday basically. And the guy drags me through the door a wounded combat victim. He pulled me in and I barely knew him, and I was sliding because I was soaking wet in chicken marsala.
Why did he pull you on the ground?
I was halfway through the door. It was the most disturbing event of my. I would go back to that person and be you were happy before this happened. You be fond of those memories because it's all downhill.
Wait, you never told me that.
Yeah, no, that makes me nervous to think about. But that was a situation where that was my job.
But then what happened after that?
I quit.
Did you go out?
No, I called my boss. I was covered in chicken marsala, and I was wearing all black. And
Did you get paid for that?
I don't remember. I called him, and he was this old school New Jersey guy. And he's and I told him, I was hey, I fell because the plate collapsed on me, and yeah, we're down one chicken marsala, but I also hit my head and I kind of have to go home. Can you send someone else? And he's what do you mean? I was I'm bleeding. I'm covered in chicken marsala. I don't know how to finish out the rest of this party. Can you send someone else? And he's if someone has a problem with you, you tell them to call your boss. And I was you don't get it. And then I remember to make matters worse, it's I am gay, but I did have a crush on this girl when I was in high school. And
Oh, she
weirdly
there?
enough, no, but her dad drove me home. Like after I finished out my shift, I doused myself in water in the bathroom and like returned to the party. And I was like soaking wet. Luckily I was wearing black. I was like sloshing around. I was like taking the plates away. I'm like, I'm happy. But for some reason, I think her dad knew someone or like
That
knew the
Elks
boss.
Club?
Yeah, and like he drove me home and it was really weird. It's like
Were you like, don't tell your daughter about this?
he like knew I knew her and it was like awkward and I was like, sorry I smell.
Wait, so
weird.
have you eaten chicken marsala since?
Yeah, it's good. That totally made me a freelancer, by the way, that experience. I
Yeah?
was so scared of getting like committal with anything after that because I'm like, well, I need to be able to like run. You know, I need to be able to like
If I get doused
the
in
fuck out
sauce,
of there.
I
Yeah.
gotta get out of here.
Any questions, comments, concern, compliments that you want to drop, please, as always, do so in the comments below. And have a lovely week.